Vladimir Putin is undoubtedly one of the most controversial figures in modern history. His leadership of Russia has been marred by accusations of election meddling, human rights violations, and numerous other offenses. Despite this, he remains one of the most powerful leaders in the world, with a hold on Russian politics that seems unbreakable. In this deep dive into Putin's life and career, we will explore the key moments and decisions that have shaped his journey to the top. From his early days as a KGB agent to his rise to power in the Russian government, we will uncover the secrets that have made Putin both feared and admired. Early life and career. Vladimir Putin was born in Leningrad, now known as St. Petersburg, Russia, on October 7, 1952. His father was a factory foreman, and his mother was a factory worker. Putin was a quiet child who loved sports and was especially fond of martial arts. He studied law at Leningrad State University, graduating in 1975. After graduation, Putin joined the KGB, the Soviet Union's security agency, and began training as an intelligence officer. He was initially stationed in East Germany, where he worked undercover as a translator. Putin's experience in the KGB would shape his worldview and provide him with the tools he needed to rise to power in Russia. KGB years and rise to power. Putin spent 16 years in the KGB, rising through the ranks to become a lieutenant colonel. After the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, Putin entered politics, serving as the mayor of St. Petersburg from 1991 to 1996. In 1999, he was appointed as the director of the Federal Security Service, FSB, the KGB's successor agency. Later that year, Boris Yeltsin, the president of Russia, resigned, and Putin was appointed as the acting president. In 2000, he was elected as the president of Russia, a position he would hold for the next 8 years. During his time in office, Putin implemented a series of reforms aimed at stabilizing the Russian economy and consolidating his power. He also launched a campaign against corruption and organized crime, which helped to boost his popularity among the Russian people. Putin's leadership style and ideology. Putin's leadership style is often described as authoritarian, with a focus on centralized control and a strong military. He has been criticized for his crackdowns on political dissent, as well as his suppression of free speech and press freedom. Putin's ideology is rooted in Russian nationalism, with a focus on the restoration of Russia's place as a global superpower. Putin's government has implemented policies aimed at promoting traditional Russian values and culture, including restrictions on LGBTQ+ rights and the promotion of Russian Orthodox Christianity. Putin has also been a vocal opponent of globalization, frequently criticizing the United States and Western Europe for what he sees as their attempts to exert global dominance. Controversies surrounding Putin's leadership. Despite his popularity among some Russians, Putin's leadership has been the subject of numerous controversies. One of the most significant of these is his alleged involvement in election meddling, including the hacking of the Democratic National Committee in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. Putin has denied these allegations, but they continue to cast a shadow over his leadership. Putin has also been accused of human rights violations, including the persecution of political dissidents and journalists. His government's crackdown on LGBTQ+ rights has drawn criticism from human rights groups around the world. Putin's annexation of Crimea in 2014 and his support for pro-Russian separatists in Ukraine have further strained his relationships with Western countries. Putin's foreign policy and global impact. Putin's foreign policy has been characterized by his desire to restore Russia's status as a global superpower.
He has pursued a more assertive foreign policy, including the annexation of Crimea and the support for pro-Russian separatists in Ukraine.
He has also strengthened Russia's relationships with China and other non-Western countries. Putin's impact on the world stage has been significant, with his support for authoritarian regimes and his opposition to the United States and Western Europe contributing to a global shift away from liberal democracy. His leadership has also had a significant impact on the global economy, including the price of oil and the value of the ruble. Putin's personal life and hobbies. Despite his public image as a strong, stoic leader, Putin has a more personal side that is often overlooked. He is known to be an animal lover, with a particular fondness for dogs. He also enjoys outdoor activities, including hunting and fishing. Putin is divorced and has 2 daughters, although very little is known about his personal life beyond that. Putin's legacy and impact on Russia. Putin's legacy and impact on Russia are complex and multifaceted. On the one hand, he is credited with stabilizing the Russian economy and consolidating his power, which has helped to make Russia a more stable and powerful country. On the other hand, his crackdowns on dissent and his support for authoritarian regimes have drawn criticism from human rights groups around the world. Putin's impact on the Russian people is also mixed. Some see him as a strong leader who has restored Russia's place as a global superpower, while others view him as a dictator who has suppressed political opposition and dissent. Putin's legacy will continue to shape Russian politics and society for years to come. Criticisms and praise of Putin's leadership. Putin's leadership has been both praised and criticized, depending on one's perspective. His supporters see him as a strong, decisive leader who has restored Russia's status as a global superpower. They credit him with stabilizing the Russian economy and cracking down on corruption and organized crime. Critics, on the other hand, view Putin as an authoritarian leader who has suppressed political opposition and dissent. They argue that his crackdowns on free speech and press freedom are evidence of his desire to maintain centralized control over the Russian government. Conclusion: the complex legacy of Vladimir Putin. In conclusion, Vladimir Putin is a complex and controversial figure whose legacy will continue to shape Russian politics and society for years to come. From his early days as a KGB agent to his rise to power in the Russian government, Putin's journey has been marked by both triumphs and controversies. His leadership style, foreign policy, and personal life have all contributed to his image as a strong, decisive leader who commands respect and fear. At the same time, Putin's crackdowns on political dissent, his support for authoritarian regimes, and his alleged involvement in election meddling have drawn criticism from many quarters. Putin's legacy will continue to be debated and analyzed for years to come, but one thing is certain: he is a figure whose impact on the world stage cannot be ignored.